Thank you very much. Now, hi, my name is Jack Robinson, and along with my partners, Alex Volkamir, Vikram Iyer, and Ashish Patra, we'd like to talk to you guys today about how Greenlight can move forward competitively and successfully. Now, let's take a quick look into what Greenlight does. Now, Greenlight provides energy-efficient lighting to 4 end consumer areas. That's residential, commercial, agricultural, and automotive. But where most of its revenue is derived from are utility companies. Now, what it does is it sells energy-efficient lighting to utility companies who then distribute it to end users. But the way that their business model primarily works is that they receive orders, then they provide purchase orders to their manufacturers in China, who then provide the goods to Greenlight, and then they're shipped to utility companies. So Greenlight really is a seller and marketer, not a manufacturer. So here's a quick snapshot of Greenlight. Now, as you can see, most of Greenlight's sales are in the United States. Additionally, some of their primary products are CFLs, that's compact fluorescent lights, and LED bulbs. And historically, CFLs have been their primary product. Now, Greenlight's goals moving forward are the following. 1, Greenlight wants to grow revenue into the future. They want to reach $30 million by 2015. 2, Greenlight wants to expand its reach. It wants to make sure that as many people as possible can have these green products. And 3, Greenlight wants flexibility. Technology is constantly changing, and by becoming flexible, Greenlight can constantly adapt and change to these new incoming changes. Now let's take a look at Greenlight throughout history. Back in the 90s, when Greenlight entered the market, they were providing a differentiated product in a niche market. They were one of the first to provide these energy-efficient bulbs. But as regulatory changes have occurred and other large competitors have entered the market, you see that some of these energy-efficient light bulbs are becoming commoditized. Additionally, as LEDs are expected to surpass CFLs in the future, Greenlight has moved into this area, but so have some of the larger players. So one can expect that not only are CFLs going to become commoditized, but so are LEDs. Now, looking historically at how Greenlight has performed, one can see that they've really ridden the wave in the product lifecycle on these CFLs. They were there at the introduction in the early 90s. They rode the revenue growth during the growth phase, and now they're in a mature phase. It's a popular market. There are a lot of big competitors like GE and Philips, and what that means is that their product is really becoming commoditized. So in order to overcome commoditization, there are 3 things that Greenlight can do. 1, they can innovate. They can create new products. 2, they can bundle. They can take various commoditized products and bundle them together to create a differentiated one. And finally, 3, they can expand. They can look to focused segments or new markets. But in leveraging these 3 strategies, one really needs to leverage Greenlight's core competencies. So what are these core competencies? Well, Greenlight provides technology products, right? But what they do is they sell and market this technology. They don't actually manufacture or produce it. So they don't really have a differentiated advantage in technology over large competitors. In addition, if you explore cost, they're a smaller provider. So some of the larger providers, they have economies of scale and an advantage over them in that area. But where Greenlight really shines, and its 3 core competency areas, are that 1, it has great relationships with utility companies. It's been providing services to these utility companies for years. It also has an experienced and knowledgeable management team, which is a huge strength. And finally, it has a trusted brand. It has been there. Greenlight has been there for 20 years. It has been providing these products. It is providing quality products to its customers for 20 years. And what this all boils down to is a competitive advantage, where Greenlight is fantastic at selling and marketing energy-efficient goods to utility companies. That is Greenlight's bread and butter. So, currently Greenlight is a provider of light bulbs. But the issue is that you have competitors entering the market and their products becoming commoditized. So what they need to do is they need to innovate, bundle, and expand while leveraging their core competencies. And by doing this, Greenlight can move from being one of many light bulb providers to the only one-stop shop for energy-efficient lighting goods for utility companies. We strongly believe that this will let Greenlight reach its goals of revenue growth, extended reach, and flexibility. And my partners are going to explain exactly how Greenlight will do this and how it can be achieved. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jack. So as Jack said, we're going to be exploring 3 areas. The first of which is innovation. How can Greenlight create new products to keep on the cutting edge of technology? Thinking about innovation, we want to draw on an example, the Kohler model. As an executive at Philips once said, Kohler is not known for selling toilets. They're known for selling bathrooms. They sell faucets, they sell sinks, they sell cabinets, they sell the bathroom experience. And we want to apply the same idea to Greenlight. We want Greenlight to be known for selling energy efficient lighting. We want them to sell the lighting experience. Now, thinking about this area, there are big players in the space. You have GE, you have Sylvania, you have Philips. These are big competitors that are very, very hard to compete with. Greenlight can't be the lighting style. What it has to be the energy efficient lighting style. It has to separate itself, find its niche, and basically build upon this. So how can Greenlight do this? Right now, if a utility company wants to find energy efficient products for its consumers, it has to go all over the place. One person for switches, one person for light bulbs. This is not the most efficient way to do it. Greenlight knows what energy efficient products need to be found. Its expertise is being on the cutting edge and knowing what the consumers want. And therefore, Greenlight can serve as the hub for finding these products. Rather than having all these different contracts, Greenlight can use its brand, license it, and leverage its expertise in sourcing and manufacturing to be the one-stop shop for lighting products. It can become the symbol of this movement. So how exactly can Greenlight do this? The first thing it has to do is leverage what it's good at. Greenlight has incredible managerial expertise. It knows the market, it knows what's going on in the space. Secondly, there's the Greenlight brand. It's been there from the start of the Green Revolution. It knows what people want, and it's 20 years in the space, set it apart from others. And then lastly, there's third-party agents. Greenlight's been in China. It knows how the manufacturing process works. It knows how to ship products. It knows how to launch something in the North American market. If Greenlight can apply this same selling and marketing expertise to these other products that it licenses, it can be incredibly strong. Thinking about the 2 different things it can pursue, we want Greenlight to keep doing what it does well. If there's a new idea that they think is up and coming, find a manufacturer, get it in the market, put the Greenlight name on it. They shouldn't stop that. But on top of that, Greenlight can become an export agent. They can find new Chinese producers that want to enter the market, license the Greenlight name, make it a Greenlight branded product to those individuals, and help them utilizing their expertise to bring it into the North American market. The Greenlight brand can be on a switch. It can be on a dimmer. It can be on all these different products because Greenlight knows how to bring them into the marketplace, and it has relationships with utility companies that want this technology. If Greenlight's able to do this, it expands its brand image, and it becomes the hub for energy efficient lighting. It becomes the one-stop shop. As a result, consumers get the energy efficient lighting needs they want. They're able to basically, utility companies can get the capacity off of their grids. They can get it to their consumers, meet their goals, meet their needs. Greenlight has the best technology then. It's not logged into a warehouse full of old obsolete bulbs like its larger competitors. It's dynamic, it's thriving, it's able to meet changing needs of individuals. And by doing this, Greenlight is always on the cutting edge. It represents its brand, it represents the green revolution. It truly is the one-stop shop, the ultimate in flexibility. If CFLs are out of date the next day, they can move to LEDs. This is the ultimate of what Greenlight needs. It's what it's great at and it's what it should pursue. So thinking about this, one prominent example of a potential product to look into is light control systems. As a recent study by McKinsey and Company cited, light control systems are poised to grow exponentially by 2020, showing a great new technology that can lead to up to 30% energy savings for consumers. If utility companies wanted to look into this, Greenlight could find a manufacturer. The manufacturer might come to Greenlight. They put the Greenlight name on it. They serve as an export agent to bring the product into the North American markets. The Greenlight name becomes synonymous with these trendy new solutions. It becomes synonymous with being on the cutting edge of being green. And on top of that, the various clients are able to bring their products in. So ultimately, Greenlight gains commission. It gains licensing fees from its brand. So it's able to expand its revenues while occupying the space that no one's in. It becomes the one-stop shop for energy efficient goods. So essentially, Greenlight was a light bulb producer. It brought light bulbs into the North American markets. But through our one-stop shop model, it becomes so much more. Just like Kohler is the bathroom, Greenlight will become the energy efficient lighting expert. In terms of revenues, Greenlight, we think that there's high potential for revenue growth in this space. From commissions as well as cross-selling due to stickiness of customers, as well as the convenience of these large utilities being able to have all of their needs done in one contract versus multiple, we feel that Greenlight will be able to leverage this and adequately grow. Thus, as a result, going back to our three metrics of comparison, in terms of financial sustainability, this makes Greenlight incredibly more lucrative. From a reach standpoint, by having more products, we're reaching more people. We're bringing them the green revolution they so desire. And finally, from a flexibility standpoint, we have whatever people want. We're not bogged down in one green lighting product. We are whatever is needed at that time. And with that, I'd like to now pass it off to Vikram, who's going to talk about our second area, bundling.
Thank you, Alex. So, the second strategy that companies can really pursue in the face of commoditization of their core products is bundling. So, what bundling can actually do is it allows a company to combine two otherwise commoditized products and unlock hidden value and create a differentiated product offering. And based on the audience reaction, we're familiar with a popular example of this. So you take two heavily commoditized products, milk chocolate and peanut butter, and combine them to unlock the delicious product potential that lies underneath in the form of a Reese's peanut butter cup. Now, when we were doing market research to figure out how exactly Greenlight could get involved in this particular adventure, the utility companies we found are increasingly trying to provide solar-powered street lamps to their different municipalities for a variety of tax, regulatory, and economic benefits. Now, Greenlight stands uniquely positioned to take advantage of this particular trend for a few reasons. First, they already produce the lamps themselves in their Chinese manufacturers. Second, they do own a 33% stake in Indosolar, which produces the necessary compatible solar panels. If Greenlight were to actually combine these two core competencies in their Chinese warehouses and ship them directly to utility companies, they can effectively enter this market by creating an effectively differentiated product offering. Now, partnership between Greenlight and a company such as Indosolar has many potential benefits. First, they become a company that offers a truly differentiated product offering. Second, they're able to benefit. Now, a proven strategy for many companies is to try and focus on new consumer segments in the face of commoditization of their core products. However, as we've already seen, Greenlight has expanded beyond the residential and commercial key core segments into agricultural and automotive segments. And through independent analysis that we have conducted, we've found that the automotive and agricultural segments are the most profitable to move into, so there really isn't a lot more for Greenlight to do in this regard. So we move to geographic expansion. However, when we look at Greenlight as a company, there are a lot of barriers to them entering many different markets across the world, most notably defensive tariffs and other barriers to entry. However, based on Greenlight's unique position as a leader in the North American market, significant untapped potential in Mexico, and the regulatory shifts in the Mexican market, we find that Greenlight is uniquely suited to move into the Mexican market. The first enabling piece of regulation is the North American Free Trade Agreement. Now, there are no barriers to entry. Really, you don't have defensive tariffs, things like that, and also you have intellectual property protection, which makes it relatively easy for Greenlight to move into the Mexican market. Second, based on the compatible energy standards across the North American countries, we find that this allows Greenlight to move in seamlessly without having to worry about creating custom-tailored products for the Mexican market. Additionally, the proximity of Mexico to the existing distribution centers that Greenlight possesses creates a relatively seamless transition into this region, and we've run the numbers and found the most profitable way of doing this is to create a new distribution center in Mexico and ship goods directly from China into this distribution center. Now, regulatory developments in Mexico have resulted in the phasing out of incandescent lighting, which really expands the addressable market for LED lights, which creates a void that needs to be filled by a company like Greenlight. Now, based on these conservative financial forecasts, we find that even with the assumption of only 50 basis point capture of the Mexican market, that they can sustain more than $10 million in per annum revenues by the third year of their investment. Additionally, due to carbon tax credits that are received by providing these sustainable energy practices, Greenlight will be able to cash in on this particular venture in another way. Now, besides the financial benefits that we've already discussed, expanding geographically into the Mexican market opens up doors for Greenlight to truly become the one-stop shop across the entire North American market. I'll now pass it on to Ashish, who will speak about how the three prongs of our strategy come together to really provide an engine to achieve all of Greenlight's goals.
Thank you, Vikram. As my teammates mentioned before, there are really three different ways that we can overcome commoditization. The first of which is being innovative. We can become an export agent, as Alex mentioned before. we can start to license our brand and expand our product offerings. Number two, what we can do is we can actually bundle products together. Things like solar panels and bulbs will allow us to take two commodities and unlock the hidden value underneath by creating a differentiated product. Now third, what we can also do is expand into markets similar to the US and Canada, such as Mexico. This will increase our customer base and allow us to bring our products to more people. Now, what we need to do is take this three-pronged approach, really leverage our core competencies and competitive advantage and utility focus to become that one-stop shop of energy-efficient lighting for utility companies all across North America. Now, this will allow us to achieve our goals. In terms of our financials, you see from the early years on, we experienced rapid revenue growth. This was because we were one of few providers of energy-efficient lighting. Over the last few years, we have seen our revenues decline because of commoditization of our product and larger players entering the space. So what do? We need to become differentiated again. We need to adopt this one-stop shop strategy. As you can see, in 2015, we can actually meet and exceed our revenue target of 30 million through our strategy. Not only this, we can actually increase our reach. We can improve our product offerings by expanding them, as well as our geographic footprint. Third, we can increase our flexibility from moving from a company that provided CFLs or light bulbs to a company that can license its brand and respond rapidly to changes in technology as well as shifting consumer preferences. Now let me show you how these three really come together and what they can do for us. We started off as one of many light bulb deliverers and providers. Now, through innovation and becoming an export agent, we can expand our product offerings. We can begin this program in the next year. Next, what we can do is actually bundle products to strengthen our core offerings. What this will allow us to do is differentiate commodity products. Third, what we can do is move into Mexico. We move this one-shop model over to other areas in the United States, Canada, and Mexico, and focus on utility companies. So we really become this one-stop shop of energy-efficient lighting all across North America for utility companies. The reason why we're uniquely positioned to do this by 2020 is our competitive advantage. We are very good at selling and marketing energy-efficient lighting to utility companies. This is why we can achieve this differentiated position. And what this really allows us to do is achieve our goals. It allows us to overcome commoditization while allowing us to increase our revenues, to improve our reach, as well as our flexibility. What we go from is being one of many light bulb providers to becoming the one and only one-stop shop of energy-efficient lighting for utility companies across all of North America. This is our vision, and we believe that this will allow us to bring a greener and brighter future for all. Thank you. And we love to take any questions.
I think you guys have many good ideas. One question is, we're a small company. Do we have the we have the structure to do all this? And or if so, what would be the impact on our, if we're 25 people, what would be the impact on the infrastructure?
Sure. I mean, definitely when you're expanding what you're offering, you have to expand your the number of workers you have. So especially in China, since we have an agent out there right now, the more people would definitely have to be hired in order to execute that strategy. As well, additionally in the Mexican expansion, that would require more people as well. Probably not that many because we've been able to operate with 25 people in Canada and the US so far. So the expansion would definitely not be more than 10 to 20 people overall.
And would we need people for the new products?
So one of the beauties of our new product strategy is that we're not merely licensing the products, and we're being basically the catalyst to bring them in as an export agent. So the manufacturers are making them, and they basically meet our standards. So all we're really doing is kind of seeing if they meet the green light standards, and serving as the catalyst to bring them in and then selling them. So we're already selling to these utility companies, so we have the sales staff to do that. So we're really just expanding the catalog that our sales staff can utilize when they go to these utility companies.
Okay, so I understand your strategy, which is about licensing. I like the idea, and also you're talking about finding your own niche. But at the same time, you talked to us about, the chocolate bar, blending different technologies together. And you started your introduction by saying you want to be the provider of, basically one product that fits various needs. And now you're blending various technologies together and you're creating systems. I have a couple of questions. Number one is, are you capable of manufacturing blended technologies together, such as basically the solar? And the other question, you know that if you want to go into this kind of industry, it's a municipality regulated industry. That means equal lobbying, equal, you have to do a whole bunch of stuff for you to make that happen. So my question to you, what is your penetration strategy? What do you think the cost is going to be? And do you think your kids are ever going to see that happening?
Alright, so I guess I can answer the first part of the question and Jack can take the cost. But the way we see this happening is, first off, we actually have a 33% stake in IndoSolar. So we do have some sort of expertise we can leverage and relationships there with the company for photovoltaics and solar panels. In terms of the manufacturing, the way Greenlight is modeled is that they figure out what technology or product they really want to provide to their market of utility companies, and they go to their third-party agent who essentially sources manufacturers. So their specialty isn't in the manufacturing technology, it's really in the distribution and the marketing channels. So what we believe we can do without having to necessarily develop the technology ourselves is source those products, find a manufacturer who can produce that for us, and then distribute it because of our relationships with utility companies. Now the second part of your question, I believe, was municipalities really drive this area. And so, for example, actually, what's great is that SoCal and Southern California has a lot more light, a lot more. The solar panel powered lamps are much more efficient in these higher sunlight areas. That's where actually our primary distribution center is and where we receive our shipped goods. Also around that area, actually just recently in LA, they're installing 100 solar powered lamps over there. They've been rolling out plans. And the utility companies join in on these vendors because they're powering, providing the electricity in a lot of these street lamps. So we believe we can leverage that relationship with these utility companies to provide this. And the other thing in terms of we don't actually buy our solar panels and lamps first and then hold them in inventory and then sell them because it's a purchase order model. We wouldn't have to put that upfront investment. Rather, you would be able to solicit, okay, we can get this done for you, and we'll go out and do it. So that reduces the cost in that sense. I don't know if you had any other cost projections.
Well, in terms of, so you mentioned specifically the solar lamp. So we have a 33% stake in IndoSolar. Actually, the CEO, I believe her father, is running IndoSolar. So what you can do is, we don't actually manufacture, right? We have relationships with Chinese manufacturers, and then we have this stake in IndoSolar. And so, in terms of building that product together, we would have to ask Chinese manufacturers to work with IndoSolar to develop the product. And the cost would be embedded within the price of the product that we provide. We actually have, we have various, let's see, so.
For the new product in the cities.
Sorry, for which particular product?
For the bottle product for the lamp.
Oh, for the street lamp product?
Yeah.
So we didn't run the specific NPV analysis for those different products, and the reason why for Mexico we did is because there's a lot of embedded costs and risks in the entry market. But the whole idea with the solar lamps market is that there's minimal costs, as Jack mentioned. We basically leverage the relationships we have with the existing relationships with IndoSolar and the manufacturing facilities. And we've priced out the costs of those lamps as much, much less than the $2,700 median price of those lamps. So just on a cost-benefit analysis basis, it would be a positive investment.
Okay. And in your risk and mitigation, you say that there is a demand for this new product, such as in Los Angeles, California. So what is your market investigation on this topic?
So in LA, they recently have an initiative to produce 100 of these products. And in our financial projections, our base case was 100, I believe. So it was 100 products as well. So we feel that some of the larger organizations will be rolling it out in about 100 on a per annum basis, but that would only be the larger cities within the United States, most likely.
Can we talk about Mexico for a second?
Absolutely.
We have a company that's doing over $1 million per employee, which is impressive, all this distribution. When I look at Mexico and I'm seeing, you're talking about 10 to 20 employees, less than $10 million of annual revenue. So, my calculation is your revenue per employee is about half what you're doing now. And this isn't a super profitable company, so I need to understand how we're going to generate about 50% of the revenues per employee and make this work.
So,
Unless I'm looking at slide 77, by the way. I'm reading the numbers right. That's revenues of 6, 10, 11 million.
sorry?
I've got my zeros. That's 6, 10.
Correct. This is in
Okay.
millions of years.
So that means if it's 20 employees, it's about $500,000 per employee, as opposed to what we're doing now, which is 1.2 million per employee.
Correct.
So
The
how does
NPV
that
should
work?
be
So I guess this is actually, we were considering this as incremental revenue on top of our existing businesses. So it's not rolling out 20 new employees to generate this amount of revenue. It's generating it, with our current number of employees, with maybe a few more added. We didn't add in, 20 employees to run just the Mexican operation. This is another incremental revenue source on top of what we're doing. Also, we assumed a very low penetration in the LED market. That probably is actually very low, just to remain conservative to begin with, because it's a small organization.
So we're assuming here all the employees in Montreal, US who speak English can do this. And
So the idea here is that this is in addition to the cooperations, and as Ashish mentioned, the plan for rolling out these different strategies isn't to do them all simultaneously, and Mexico will be lagged to be the last remaining piece of this three-pronged strategy. So our vision for this is basically to use the incremental revenues gained by the bundling and the innovation to actually fund the hiring of the necessary employees and to build out the necessary distribution centers. And in this model, we've built out the startup costs.
The training period is now over. Thank you, guys.